How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's having a really good day. I wanted to talk about being a furry. It's a strange subject matter, but it's something that I've realised more recently that I really enjoy being a part of the furry community. So I was just gonna make this video and tell sort of my story about how I got into the community and you know where I am now with it. A lot of people's introductions is through anthropomorphic characters in like Disney films and things. But for me, I never really even thought about the sort of, obviously I like Disney, but when I was younger I was quite scared of almost every Disney film. I don't think I got, yeah, to this day I haven't finished Lion King, just because when I was little I was so upset after Mufasa died and I was like scared of Scar or whatever. But yeah, that really wasn't my first sort of venture into the furry community and furry fandom. Where I was introduced to it mainly was KIK Messenger, which may seem absolutely bananas now considering how like dead KIK is. But me and some friends from school, we ran a like fantasy sort of role play group where we'd all have our own characters, and we were sort of a part of a fantasy guild, and we'd organise for like our group of mates and like, you know, the odd stranger who joined our group and whatnot, with their characters. We sort of came up with these plots and sort of storylines, and then we, you know, would stop the end of the world or save the day. This was maybe when I was like, must have been maybe 12, 13. But yeah, we had that group chat for a long time, maybe a year or so, where we you know, people would come and go and we'd just make new plots and stuff, and it was just a nice thing to do. You know, when you came home from school, you'd sort of get lost in this this fantasy world that we created, and it was really good fun. But what KIK had was like a weird, I don't know what it was. It was like an app in the app where you could look for other groups or things, and I was probably 13 when I like went looking through that. Most of them were pretty like pretty weird, or like the odd degenerate stuff and a bit creepy at times. But there was one that was a sort of safe for work, like furry roleplay group that was sort of, as far as I remember, it was like a beach resort, where you, when you joined, you got like a room and you sort of just mingled throughout the day and stuff. It was kind of like what we were doing but for furries, and it was sort of just a sort of life sim, I guess, if that sort of thing. But yeah, I didn't know what a persona was or anything like that. The rules on the chat said we had to have a furry character as your profile picture. So I went to Google Images, as probably a lot of furries did, and just chose the first like sick looking wolf picture and just put that as my like KIK profile. I don't even remember what I called the character I was being or whatever, but yeah, it was hardly like a persona or anything. Probably a very stereotypical one that like hundreds of people probably had as their profile pictures on like Facebook, which was big back then, or that was what most people used. But yeah, in that chat, I only ever had good memories of that roleplay chat. Everyone was so like nice to each other and welcoming, and there was no sort of, oh, you don't know what this is, so, you know, teasing because you didn't know or whatever. They were, you know, they explained what these things were and sort of what the rules were. They were very clear, but, you know, they were really nice people. But that was kind of, I dropped off of doing all the KIK stuff after about a year, not for any particular reason. We just decided not to do it anymore. Me and my group of mates at school, we stopped doing that and just I think we let somebody else take over the group. So I don't know if it's still running today, probably not. But yeah, so I dropped off there, but going into like secondary school for me. So, I mean, we did the KIK stuff like early into my secondary school life. So, like I said, 12, 13 years old. And then all the way up to about the end of A-levels where I was about 18. You know, I followed the odd person who did anthropomorphic art on Instagram or whatever. But it kind of always felt like something that should be embarrassing to talk about, or a lot of people would judge me for thinking about this sort of furry stuff. I mean, I remember people making lots of jokes about furries, and then on YouTube it became kind of popular to, like, especially when TikTok became big or whatever, or Vine, or, you know, whatever was big, it was popular to sort of take the mick out of furries or put them down because they were a bit cringe or whatever, which some people are pretty cringe. I'm pretty cringe, but you know, I'm still going. And but when I came to uni, that was when I started following more of the art and actually learn what a fursona was. So my girlfriend, who she had been really into sort of furry stuff for quite a while, but hadn't really got like into the fandom or the community or whatever, in sort of our second year of uni, she started like following more people and following a lot more furry accounts and things like that. And she made her like first major fursona around then. She offered to make me one, and at the time I was still quite resistant to it, but I thought it'd be, you know, it'd be cool. I kind of loved it. I had sort of the input, and she drew on a drawing tablet and made me a piece of art, just a basic like ref shot. That character was Ashen, who is my fursona to this day, and who you'll see on all my social medias and on this video. But yeah, I got a drawing tablet very soon after and did sort of odd pieces of art. It was mainly just like Pokemon and, you know, Destiny and stuff, games that I liked. But then I thought more about doing more drawing of my character that had been given to me to make him a bit more my own. And then that's when I sort of started drawing more. Like, Ashen sort of started off as just a character that belonged to me that I really liked. But the more I've drawn him and the more I've sort of developed his personality and everything, I really sort of realised what a lot of people who are already in the furry community feel, in that they are really attached to their fursonas and they're very personal to them. And I think that's how I feel about it, about Ashen. And I really enjoy drawing and sharing art of him whenever I do it. But I've also become more a part of the community, I feel. And it's a strange community because a lot of what I perceived as a bit cringe and a bit weird, actually, there are going to be cringy people in every fandom, and there's going to be the people that you go. I've come to realise now that this is more a thing of just fandoms in general. It's just the perception of the furry fandom is quite slated towards negative, but even then it's becoming more of a thing that people come to be more accepting of, which is nice. And obviously I still meme about furries and how cringe I am, but instead of using it as a sort of shield to deflect my feelings about wanting to be in the fandom to my friends who might think I'm a bit embarrassing or reject me from the group or whatever, I sort of just use it to make jokes, have a laugh, really. But this fandom is a very welcoming one, and one of the nicest ones I've actually come across the more I've got to know it, and that's really special. And I think people who are ashamed or afraid of being ashamed of being in this fandom, or any fandom really, not just furries, should really think about it and just like what you like, really, at the end of the day, within reason, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Seeing all the people's fursonas and the art has been amazing, and there's some really, really talented people out there. But yeah, that's my story with like the furry community. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully I can talk more about furry stuff. Yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.